The rain had been falling for hours, the kind of cold, heavy rain that soaked through every layer of clothing and turned the dirt roads of rural Georgia into thick rivers of brown sludge. The storm had knocked out power in half the county, and the narrow backroads were slick and treacherous. Inside a gleaming black Range Rover, 17-year-old Ethan Kingsley gripped the steering wheel tighter, his jaw clenched. He wasn't supposed to be driving alone, not with his spinal injury. But being the son of Charles Kingsley, one of America's most powerful billionaires, came with invisible cages. Tonight, he just needed to escape them. The wipers struggled against the storm as the car fishtailed slightly. Ethan cursed under his breath, trying to steer back onto the road, but the rear tires spun uselessly. A sudden jolt rocked the vehicle. "Damn it!" he hissed. The Range Rover had sunk, half buried in thick mud on an unpaved road in the middle of nowhere. He revved the engine again, but the wheels only dug deeper. The luxury SUV that symbolized power and privilege was now helpless, swallowed by the earth itself. Ethan slammed his hands against the wheel. His leg braces clinked faintly as he moved, an echo of the accident that had changed everything a year ago. Since then, his life had been an endless routine of therapy, sympathy, and silence. Everyone pitied him. No one saw him. He looked at his phone. No signal. "Perfect," he muttered, "just perfect." He leaned his head back, closing his eyes as rain hammered the roof. That's when he saw movement in the side mirror, a shadow, a figure emerging from the curtain of rain. At first, Ethan tensed. It was dark, and he was alone. The figure grew clearer, a teenage boy, barefoot, drenched, clothes tattered, mud splattered up to his knees. He was pushing a rusted bicycle with a missing pedal. His skin was dark, his frame wiry, but there was something steady, calm in the way he moved. The boy stopped beside the Range Rover and peered in through the rain-smeared window. "You stuck?" he asked, his southern accent warm but rough around the edges. Ethan hesitated. "No, I'm just sitting in the mud for fun," he said dryly, immediately regretting the sarcasm. The boy grinned faintly. "All right then, just thought I'd ask." He started to turn away. "Wait," Ethan called out. Yeah, I'm stuck. Can you help?" The boy turned back, nodding. "Name's Jalen," he said simply. "Let's see what we can do." Jalen circled the SUV, assessing the situation with surprising focus. "You got four-wheel drive?" "Yeah, but it's useless in this muck," Ethan muttered. "Not if you know how to use it," Jalen said, smirking. "You mind if I hop in?" Ethan blinked. "You know how to drive this?" Jalen shrugged. "Worked on a lot of engines for folks round here. Big machines, little ones. Same rules." Reluctantly, Ethan nodded. He moved his leg braces aside, watching as Jalen climbed in, dripping rainwater onto the leather seats. Jalen's hands were rough, his fingernails black with grease, but he handled the gearshift with care. He told Ethan to push a few buttons, adjust the throttle. Then he got out again. "You hold it steady. I'm gonna try pushing from behind." "You can't push a 2-ton car," Ethan protested. Jalen just grinned. "Ain't gotta move it far. Just enough to catch traction." He disappeared into the rain. Ethan could barely see him in the side mirror, just a silhouette straining in the mud, shoulders flexing, feet slipping. He pressed lightly on the gas. The tires spun, caught for a second, then lurched forward. The car moved an inch. Then another. Then, miraculously, Ethan felt the wheels grip solid ground. They did it. He stopped the car and jumped out, rain soaking his hair instantly. Jalen stood there, mud up to his thighs, panting, a wide grin on his face. "Man, you actually did it," Ethan said, disbelief giving way to laughter. Jalen chuckled. "Told you. Just needed some muscle and a little faith." Ethan looked at him, really looked at him for the first time. The boy's clothes were torn, his shoes non-existent, but there was pride in his eyes, strength. "Thanks," Ethan said sincerely. You didn't have to do that." Jalen shrugged. "Ain't nothing. You have done the same." Ethan hesitated.
He wasn't sure he would have. "Do you need a ride somewhere?" he asked. "Nah," Jalen said, retrieving his bent bicycle. "I live a few miles that way." He nodded toward a row of trees. "Rain don't bother me." Ethan frowned. "You can't ride that thing in this weather. It's falling apart." "I've been riding it since I was 9. Don't stop now." Something inside Ethan twisted. "At least let me give you a lift." Jalen hesitated, then nodded slowly. "All right, man. Appreciate that." They drove in silence for a while, the hum of the engine cutting through the rain. Jalen stared out the window as they passed endless fields and broken fences. "So, what were you doing out here?" Ethan asked. "Was on my way back from work. Helping fix a tractor engine for old man Reynolds. Pays me a few bucks, sometimes gives me food." "You work on engines?" "Anything that runs. Learned from my uncle. He says a machine's like a person. You treat it right, it'll treat you right back." Ethan smiled faintly. "Sounds smart." "Yeah, he was," Jalen said quietly, "before he got sick." They fell silent again. The world outside blurred into a wash of rain and shadows.
Eventually, Jalen pointed to a worn dirt path. "That's me up there." Ethan turned the car. The path led to a small shack barely standing under the weight of the storm. The roof leaked, and a single flickering lantern glowed inside. "You live here?" Ethan asked softly. "Yeah," Jalen said. "Me, my little sister, and my uncle when he's not in the hospital." Ethan glanced at him, wanting to say something but unsure what. Finally, he just nodded. "You're a good guy, Jalen." Jalen smiled faintly. "Just doing what's right." Ethan hesitated before speaking again. "You think I could come by sometime? Maybe help out?" Jalen looked surprised. "Help me?" Ethan shrugged. "You help me. Seems fair." For the first time, Jalen laughed. A deep, genuine laugh that cut through the storm. "All right then, rich boy. You can come by. Just don't bring that fancy car again. Mud don't like her much." They both laughed. Ethan drove home that night, something shifting deep inside him. For once, he didn't feel like the billionaire's crippled son or the broken kid everyone pitied. He felt human again, seen, connected. But the story didn't end there. 2 weeks later, Ethan showed up at Jalen's home again. This time, he wasn't alone. Behind him were 2 trucks, one loaded with lumber, tools, and paint, the other carrying food supplies and medical kits. Jalen's jaw dropped when he saw them. "Ethan, what is all this?" Ethan stepped forward, smiling. "You helped me when I needed it. Now it's my turn." Jalen shook his head. "Man, you don't have to." "I want to," Ethan interrupted. "And not just this. I talked to my dad. He's setting up a fund, the Kingsley Community Project. First build starts here." Jalen's eyes widened. "You told your dad about me?" "Yeah," Ethan said. "He wanted to meet the kid who taught his son what real strength looks like." Jalen blinked hard, trying to hide the emotion that welled up. "You serious?" Ethan grinned. "Completely." In the weeks that followed, workers arrived. They rebuilt Jalen's home, got his uncle the care he needed, and enrolled his sister in a nearby school. The town took notice. For once, it wasn't about charity. It was about connection. Ethan kept visiting, learning how to fix engines, how to listen without judgment. Jalen, in turn, learned to dream beyond the limits life had drawn for him. And sometimes, when the rain fell again and the ground turned to mud, they'd both look out at the same road where it all began, 2 boys from different worlds, bound by one unthinkable act of kindness that changed both their lives forever.